made some fresh bread today. It's starting to smell up the house. It smells good. My wife bought some ingredients to make BLTs and club sandwiches at some point this week. And I was like, you know what might be good with that? Some fresh bread. So I made some bread without telling her. And it smells delicious. I don't do the whole thing where I make the dough and knead it myself and let it rise and do all that. I just have a bread maker that I bought. It's so stupid. It just shows how old I am. Old soul, old guy, whatever. Just old. I always wanted to have a bread maker to make fresh bread. Like literally my entire adult life. And I just assumed that they were like super expensive and it wasn't worth the money and blah, 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 blah. And then finally, my kids were adults, and I was like, I'm going to go buy a bread maker. I've wanted one for 20 years and never bought one. Went and looked. The things are so friggin' cheap. And making your own bread is so cheap. Now, you're not putting preservatives in it. You're using raw materials like flour and sugar and yeast and salt, and that's it. It's so cheap to make a loaf of bread. The only thing is a loaf of bread is it's only going to last you maybe 2 or 3 days before it goes stale. It never gets moldy, it goes stale first. But the loaves are smaller, so you go through it quicker. So it's kind of like a trade-off, but it is so worth it. It's just that the bread machine takes up space, and we typically go through these spurts of making a lot of loaves of bread for a week or two, and then we put it away because it's been on the counter and we're kind of sick of having fresh bread every day. And then we go back to having it in storage and just using store-bought bread, and then we'll go 6 months without making bread, and then we'll pull it out again and make fresh bread again for a couple of weeks. And the bread maker we bought was not that expensive. It was totally worth it. It does have a setting that we haven't used yet where you can use the bread machine to make the dough, and then the thing with the bread machine is every loaf of bread you make looks exactly the same, whether it's white bread or wheat bread or cinnamon raisin bread or whatever you're making. It could be like a dessert bread or a breakfast bread or whatever, but they all look the same because of the loaf pan that comes with the bread machine. But there is a setting where you can make dough, and it will mix it and knead it for you and let it rest and do all that stuff, and then you can take it out and put it in whatever shape pan you want and bake it yourself in the oven. We just haven't done that yet. I always thought it would be good to make rolls, do the whole dough in the machine and then separate it into smaller chunks and make rolls like in the oven. Haven't done that yet. And if you have a good recipe that you use for making bread in your bread machine, let me know in the comments, because I am like collecting bread recipes. I know it's kind of weird to talk about bread recipes and bread making in American Truck Sim video, but I have a whole box of space available for bread recipes, and I only have a couple of recipes in there so far, so if you got a good bread recipe, let me know. I will save it and try it out. It's still raining. Come on, man.